Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Dev. Today we continue to work on our very own Devolver bootleg collection. Now last time we added a bunch of graphics to our clone and started coding an animation system. And due to some last minute changes, the coding part ended up getting very messy. So messy that it almost drove me insane. But after a long journey of trial and error, we managed to create a working animation system, which brings us to today's plan. We're gonna take that animation system, and with the attack system, we're gonna apply those to our enemies. We'll also work on pathing and other AI behavior, while also fixing whatever breaks along the way. That's hopefully the plan for today, so let's get to the coding. First, we had to add our pistol to the list of weapons. Most of the messy work was done last time, so all we had to do was add the pistol's parameters to the attack code. Now, the sprite for our pistol required the bullet spawn origin to be moved, and for a good 20 minutes I failed to remember how to set that offset. So, defeated, I decided to come back to it later. Next up, I determined that we needed to transfer all the draw code and the attack code to their own scripts. And since the enemy shares in almost everything the player does, I basically duplicated the player's code for use in the enemy code. The only difference between the two were that the enemies spawn with weapons, and for the sake of simplicity, aren't going to pick up new ones. Testing showed that, thankfully, everything seemed to be working on the base level. All our scripts were working properly and graphics were loading in as they should. So now it was time to work on the AI behavior, starting with moving. For now, I set up a frenzied patrol using alarms and a couple of variables which would determine random destination coordinates for the enemy. I then had the enemy face its destination and move in that direction. With that working as I'd hoped, I changed the movement to follow the image angle instead, which would slowly turn towards its destination. This felt more organic than having the enemy snapping around. Next, I added a distance check, and if the player was near enough, the enemy's destination would become the player, which allowed for our player to be chased around the map when spotted. Speaking of which, we had to narrow down the enemy's vision a bit. So I went with a collision line, though we'll likely swap it out for something else later. This gave our enemy a line of sight required to start chasing our player down. And if the player not only escaped the line of sight and they're out of the alert bubble, the enemy would go back to patrolling. I then added a few more details like animation speeds for movements and the like, though you probably can't tell. And finally, I added the attack script, which is gonna need some tweaking to get right. But first, I wanted to improve the pathing. So I created a pathing grid like we've done in previous projects, and added the necessary code to get everything working. Then I said goodbye to the motion code in favor of the pathing code. Luckily, because of how our enemy is already coded, not too much changed. But because I'm not completely certain on this code just yet, I simply had the pathing code repeat based on the enemy's destination. This ended up working out way better than anticipated. While it definitely still needs tweaking, it's a solid start to our enemy AI. With that working, I decided to return to our origin problem that we were having at the start of the session. Turns out I was on the right track, but missed the very obvious step of defining the distance and angle differences. So pumping in all the necessary data finally net us the right results of spawning bullets at the correct origin points for our guns. And it was here that I had to stop because I thought it'd be a good idea to record on an empty stomach. Turns out that's actually a really bad idea. I was one headache and a shortened temper deep, and it felt like a good time to call it a day. Which sadly brings us to the end of today's episode of Let's Dev. So remember that if you like this video or enjoy Let's Dev in general, be sure to hit that like button. If you aren't already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. And as always, be sure to leave your thoughts on our progress in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.